Welcome to the Executive Academy video podcast. I'm Hanum Salsabila. Today it's my great honor to have two guests in our discussions. They are Professor Christopher Nachtsheim. He is a PhD in Operations and Statistics from the University of Minnesota, and he published several books and articles. And Dr. Nachtsheim has served as Associate Dean for Academic Affairs at the Carleton School and has taught in executive MBA programs in Europe and the US. And the other guest is one of the Executive Academy students. He is Mr. Henrik Monstedt. He's coming from Denmark, and he's the Group Financial Controller at Borealis, a leading international provider of innovative plastic solutions and headquartered in Vienna, Austria. Welcome, both of you. And today we're going to discuss about the data analysis and decision making. Okay, with this limited of time, I'd like to address my first question to Professor Nachtsheim. What are the key challenges that the Executive Academy are facing on doing the data analysis?
Yeah, well, I think that there's a saying that I give my students, which is that companies today are drowning in data, but they're starved for information. They have warehouses of data that they collect that they don't do anything with. There's point-of-sale data that's coming in automatically that they don't have time to analyze. There's in manufacturing plants, the processes are monitored automatically by computers, but usually the data just sits in a data bank someplace. And this data is a strategic advantage if they knew how to do the proper analysis. And so I think that's probably one of the main things that we have to teach, is that you need to take advantage of this data. I like to give my students the example of one of my executive MBA students came in from Minnesota and said, we're just trying to decide whether to do an acquisition of another company. It was a very expensive acquisition. And they thought the time was right to make this acquisition. And he asked me to look at some data they had in their files, and I looked at the data which was on the market and how the markets were performing, and I was able to determine that it was the wrong time to make this acquisition, that the market was about to turn south, as we say. And I was able to convince them not to make that acquisition. My forecast was exactly right. The market went south. They would have gone out of business had they made that acquisition. So just an example of how a company can take advantage of data and make decisions based on data. So.
And what are the key learnings executive are usually taking away from your class?
I mean, I think there's an appreciation for fact-based decision making. We want to stop making decisions on the basis of our stomachs and our emotions, and try to start making decisions that are based on facts and data. And so I try to give the students an appreciation for that, the importance of data, and how you go about making decisions based on data. So I think that's the bottom line.
Anyway, Hendrik, how do you find yourself after his lectures, after his informations and explanation about doing the data analysis and decision making? How do you see yourself on this class so far?
So far I'm enjoying it a lot. The learning format has been very interactive, and there's been a good balance between classroom training and breaking out into work groups. And also I think we've learned some theory, but we've also learned how to apply it in practice. So I'm enjoying myself a lot.
Mm-hmm. And what are you expecting to take away from this model for your job, for your career? Do you have any certain expectation on joining this class?
Well, before joining the class, I knew that I met statistics in my daily job, but I think what I've realized is that I actually meet statistics and large amounts of data much more frequently than I actually thought. Mm-hmm. And I think with what I'm learning here, the tools and everything else, I'll be in a much better position to make good use of that data, like it's said, to make a strategic advantage out of that data. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay, I think that answer wraps up our discussion today. Thanks for having all your insights and your experience on doing the data analysis and also the decision making. Thank you. And that's the end of our discussion today. Hope you enjoy our interview and see you on the next video podcast. Bye.